just check it and tell me it's visible or not.
Sure, sir.
So I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah. Yeah. So very good afternoon to all. I'm sorry for the delay. So I was just meeting some meetings, so I couldn't able to join. I'm just sorry for the delay. First of all, I would like to thank the IoT Academy for giving this opportunity to discuss how to write the articles for the Scopus and Web of Science journals. So it's a kind of it's a part of the 7 days national level FDP on the art of research. I myself, Dr. Prem Kumar, Professor and Head of the Electrical Department from the Answer College of Engineering, Bangalore. And in today's discussion, so we'll be focusing on the five different things, but mostly, if time permits, I'll be talking about all the five the topics here, whatever I kept. Okay, so the first I'll be talking about the research awareness. So what are the things to be kept when you write any papers, okay, for the journal or the conferences, okay, even if you write any kind of a proposals also, what are the things to be kept in mind before writing it? So that we will discuss first, and why we are doing a research. Okay, that kind of awareness first I will create. Then after that, I'll be talking about the research ethics. Okay, what are the ethical practices we have to follow during any kind of a research? Okay, it may be a research collaborations or research projects, or the publications related. Okay, and also I'll be providing you some kind of a guidelines when you write any papers, what are the procedures or the guidelines to be followed. So that also I'll be talking about, and the research metrics, because after writing the papers, okay, so we don't know where to submit, how to submit, okay, and how to select the journals, all those things, or most of the people, they don't know. So I'll be talking about the metrics. So based on the metrics, you can select the journals wherever you want to publish your papers. Okay, and also finally, I'll be talking about the research tools required. Okay, so that should be there with all the researchers, those who are doing the ongoing research. Okay, so first I'll be creating the awareness on the research, why we do the research. Okay, or what are the importance of the publications? Okay, most of the people, they say, no, once if I don't publish, I will not get the PG degree or the PhD degree or the postdoctoral fellowship, or someone will say, no, that is mandate from the college or something like that, some kind of reasons they provide. But apart from that, we have certain things why we do the publications. Okay, the very first thing is like the dissemination of the knowledge. Okay, so whatever we do, whatever the research we do, that should be disseminated to the society, the research society. Okay, so for that, one of the medium is the publications. Okay, and the second thing is a validation and peer review. So when you write any kind of a papers, okay, or the research that we are converting as a paper and we are submitting to some journals, okay, and you'll be getting some kind of a peer reviewers, and the peer reviewers are nothing but, they are all the subject experts all around the world. So when they provide some kind of a review comments, okay, so that indirectly validates your results, or it indirectly validates your research. Okay, so for that purpose, obviously we need to go for our publications. And the advancement of science. Okay, so whatever we do, okay, yes, we have done some kind of a scientific breakthroughs. Okay, if we don't disseminate, or if we don't send it to anyone, so the people may not be knowing that you have done some kind of a breakthroughs. So that can be communicated through the publications. Okay, and the career advancement, this is what I was telling. Okay, so these are all the research publications are very much essential for the career advancement. Publishing in reputed journals, okay, enhances the visibility, reputation, and the credibility within your field, whatever the field you do it. Okay, so for the career advancement, also the publications are required, and also the academic recognition. Suppose if you want to get any kind of the promotions or something, okay, and if you want to get recognized by your university or the institute, then obviously we need to have a good publications. Okay, and the impact on the policy makers and the practices. Okay, see, nowadays what actually the people are doing, the policy makers and the practitioners, they are all referring to the journal publications or the publications at the top reputed publishers. When they do any kind of a policy and they create any kind of policies or the procedures. Okay, so suppose that when we don't publicate, when we don't publish, or if we publish any wrong kind of inputs, that will mislead the policy makers and the practitioners when they write any kind of a standards for your respective works. Okay, so there'll be a small impact on the policies and practices. And also the collaboration, this is again one of the very important thing. Okay, so through the publications you can create a lot of collaboration, and also you can have a lot of networking among your research community. Okay, that is also one of the major impact of the publications. Okay, and finally I can say it's a preservation of the knowledge. Okay, whatever we do, it's all published and it's all kept it with the unique ID called DY, right? So that will be a repository for the future generations when they do something in future. So or whatever we do, it's all the references for them. So it's a kind of a preservation of the knowledge. Okay, so apart from this, so many points are there, but I feel these are all the very important the points to be considered why we are going for the publications. Okay, so this is what the statement everywhere the people will say. Okay, it's a publish or perish. Okay, it's not that it's the people are talking very new. Okay, it's for very long years this kind of statements are there. It's all more than 60 years the people are getting pressure from the academics sectors and also the research sectors. Okay, but what I feel is, like, suppose if you are getting motivated, if you are getting a proper awareness, if you are involved yourself in research, then obviously we can change the statement as the publish and succeed. That's what I just want to convey to you people. Okay, just to have a proper awareness on why research is required for everyone's life in their career. Okay, once you understand it, and the publication is not a matter, you can do it. Okay, so what I tell you is a publish and succeed. Okay, so what is a research paper? Okay, as we all know, there are different papers, or there are different publication types are there. Okay, one is a research paper, or the review papers, or some short communication papers, or editorials, so some book chapters, books. Okay, so there are so many the publication mediums are there. So what I'm focusing on is it's a research paper. Okay, because a research paper is a comprehensive document with the empirical evidences. That's what I'll give more focus for the research paper. Okay, so research paper is a comprehensive document, and it will give the complete information about the particular research, whether it's the findings or the analysis, and also the interpretation of whatever you have done, and complete your investigation, and supported by the experimental evidences. So that's the reason most of the people are giving more priority to the research papers. Okay, and the research papers are the foundation of modern science, and it is the most effective way to share the information across the wide network. Okay, so this is what the research paper. So as I told you, we have so many things. Okay, but I'll be focusing on the research paper. And when you write any kind of a research paper, okay, what should be the length of the paper is? Okay, because there are certain restrictions when you write the paper. You cannot write it like a thesis, or you cannot write it like a brief report also. Okay, there should be a certain standard for each and every journals. Okay, so before you write the papers, you should know what are the constraints, or what are the requirements of the particular journal. Okay, so whatever I'm giving you now, okay, it's all from my own personal experience. Okay, and also my editorial experiences, and also my reviewing experience. So based on that, I'm just trying to give some kind of a guidelines to you. Okay, as I told you, there are different ways of publications. So when you write any kind of a research papers or the review papers, the total number of words should be 2,000 words to 12,000 words. Okay, so suppose if you write any kind of a review papers, that can go up to 12,000 words. If you write any kind of a research paper, we can go up to 6 to 7,000 words. Okay, it's all depends. Okay, depends on the journal, because nowadays we have some open access journals also. All the open access journals are not having any kind of a word restrictions and page restrictions. But however, what I'm telling you is, you try to restrict yourself. Even you can write the papers up to 3,000, 30,000 words also, when you go for any kind of open access publications. But there we are paying a huge amount of money to publish the papers. But most of the subscription based journals having some kind of restrictions. They will not allow you to publish more than 8,000 words for the research paper, more than 12,000 words for your review paper. So that's what I'm telling you. There is a constraint. So what I'm telling you is, if you write any papers, that should be within 2,000 to 12,000 words. So typically, the one more information also I have given here. So if it is a research paper, it can go up to 8,000 words, 4,000 to 8,000 words. And if it is a uh, review paper, it can go up to 12,000 words. If it is a short paper or short communication or the letters, okay, so those papers can go up to 2,000 words. These are all based on several journals analysis. These numbers are given. While length of the paper is very important when you write it, but also the quality matters, right? So because of the length, you should not compromise the quality, and because of the quality, you cannot increase the number of words also. You should know how to balance this, okay? And you try to communicate whatever the contents are required. Okay, so only those required contents you have to communicate through the research papers. Okay, it should not, you should avoid the repetition of the same information, and you should avoid including the known informations on the paper. Only the unknown information, that only you have to explain in the research papers. Okay, and the structure of the paper. Okay, so first you have to start with the title, and title should be very concise. Okay, mostly what I'm telling you is it should not be more than 10 words. Okay, and should be it should accurately reflect the content of the paper, because when you give the generic title, you'll be missing the citations of your respective paper. Even if you publish the paper, you'll not get any kind of citations if your title of the paper is not reflecting the content of the paper. So that's the reason it should be a specified, it should be a concise, and it should be informative, and should accurately reflect the content of the paper, and should not be more than 10 words also. And the abstract is the brief summary of your any kind of research paper. So mostly it can be up to 250 words. So preferably 200 words is the balanced abstract. Okay, so you can have the abstract up to 250 words from 150 words. Okay, and the introduction and the literature review. In most of the papers, okay, the most of the foreign collaborators, if you see their papers, they'll be combining the introduction part and the literature review part as a one single section. But most of the Indian researchers, what they do is they will write the introduction separately, and they will write the literature review separately as a separate sections. Okay, so what I'm suggesting you is you try to have both the sections in a single section. So it means in the introduction section itself should introduce the context of the research, and also it should discuss the complete literatures, and also it should critically analyze, and you should you should whatever the problem statements are there, all the problem statements, the gaps of the research, okay, and the contributions of the research and the organization of the research, everything should reflect only in the introduction section. And the methodology, it's the heart of your paper. Okay, so you should give more focus for the methodology section, and the methodology should describe your complete research design and your sample selections, okay, and also data collection, data analysis, everything should be discussed. Okay, and this is where you should mention your, or you should discuss about your novelty of the research. Okay, and as I told you already, don't include any kind of a known information, only unknown information which is novel in your studies, that only have to be included in the methodology section. And the results part, okay, this is a crucial part. Okay, this is where you'll be keeping all your findings of your research. Okay, when you keep the findings, as I told you, this findings may be through some kind of the simulation evidence or the experimental evidences. Okay, through any kind of evidence, whatever the findings are there, that should be analyzed, and that should be logically analyzed, and we we can keep use of some kind of a tables and figures to illustrate whatever the findings we have. Okay, and the discussion section, and mostly the people will avoid using this discussion section, but what I'm telling you is you try to have a separate section for this discussion section, so there you can interpret and analyze your complete results, whatever you have achieved in your study. And also after the discussion section, the conclusion section should summarize the complete findings and also the implications and whatever the research questions you have raised in the introduction section, that your conclusion should restate your research questions, and also it should provide the concise summary of your findings. Okay, and after the conclusion section, we'll be having the reference section, and the references should list all the sources whatever you have used it. Okay, and for this also there will be kind of a restrictions. Okay, I can give you the numbers in the next slide. Okay, after conclusion section, references section, and also before writing references section, in the conclusion section itself, what I'm suggesting you is you try to have the future scope of your research also. Whatever you do, what is the future extension of your study? So that should be included in the conclusion section itself. Okay, that mostly prefers, most of the editors and reviewers prefers to have the future extension in the conclusion section itself. Okay, after that, you can keep the references and the appendices, where suppose if you feel some informations are required, but it is not required in the main text. So those kind of informations, you can put it as the appendix, and that should be after your references section. Okay, so this is how your structure of the paper should be. Okay, and here I'll be giving you the numbers. Okay, so before giving the numbers, so what I'm trying to tell you here is one more important thing is this one, the cover letter. Okay, so the cover letters are very, very important. Okay, so because most of the researchers will not give the importance to write a cover letters, but what I'm telling you is you would just spend some useful time when you write any kind of a cover letters, because nowadays most of the journals are getting thousands and thousands of papers they are getting for the reviews. Okay, and the editors are not having enough time to read all those papers, and after that they have, once the editor-in-chief has read the paper, and they have to send it to the subject editor has to find the required reviewers, and the reviewer has to review. So this is what the process. Okay, but mostly the editor-in-chief has to handle all the papers, but they may not have time to assess all the papers. So most of the time what they do is they will refer to the cover letter. So when the cover letter is not proper, when the cover letter is not giving enough information about your the paper what you have submitted, and obviously you'll be getting a disk rejection. Okay, in order to avoid a disk rejection, what I'm trying to tell you is you try to have a proper cover letter where you can mention the complete novelty of your study and complete scope of your paper with respect to the journal. Okay, because that's nowadays most of the journals are sending or they are rejecting the paper by stating the scope of the paper is not matching the scope of the journal. Okay, so that's what when you write a cover letter there, if you mention the scope of the paper is matching with the scope of the journal, then most of the times you can avoid all those kind of disk rejections. Once the cover letters are written, okay, so these are the numbers I just wanted to give you. The title should be maximum 10 words, and the abstract should be 150 to 200 words. And introduction literature review, as I told you, you keep it as a same section, and you should do a thorough literature where you have to discuss about the problem statements, contributions of the study and organization of the study. Everything should be included in the introduction section. And the methods, so as I told, to remove all the unknown information, known informations, just be specific to the unknown informations. Okay, and the results, it's a comprehensive analysis where you can discuss your findings through the figures and tables and discussions, and whatever the finding was done, that should be analyzed. Okay, and also you have to discuss about the limitations and the advantages of your work, and also what are the challenges you face when you do this kind of research. So that should be discussed in the discussion section. And the conclusion, the future extension, as I told you, it should be a concise summary, and also the future scope must be included in the same section. And acknowledgements, this is again one of the important. Suppose if you have any funding agency, or suppose if you want to acknowledge some person, some scientist, okay, or some teachers or some industries. If you want to acknowledge, all those acknowledgements should be included in the acknowledgement section. That is before this, the reference section. And apart from this, nowadays, the journals are asking some declaration statements. Okay, that's like a data availability statement, author contribution statement, ethical approval, consent for publication. Okay, all those things, yeah, everything we have to include before the reference section. Okay, so in reference section, I told you, right? So there'll be a numbers for keeping the references. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if we are writing any research paper, you try to have at least 25 recent and relevant research papers. And if you're writing any kind of a review papers, at least you try to refer minimum 100 number of recent papers and relevant papers. Okay, and the tables and figures, avoid unnecessary tables and figures. Suppose if you are trying to communicate something through the figure, that should be as a table, and that vice versa also not applicable. So whatever is necessary, that only you have to include. Okay, so this is all okay. So now I'll just move on to the research ethics. So as of now, what we have done, we have discussed is what is the research publication, and why we have to do the publications. Okay, and also what are the the numbers to be followed when you write a research papers. That's what we have discussed as of now. So now we'll focus on the research ethics. Yeah. So this is one of the very important topic to be known to all the researchers. There is existing people as well as the current people, those who are doing the PG or the PhD. So all the people have to follow this research ethics. Okay, so research ethics, it provides the guidelines for the responsible conduct of research. Okay, and also it educates and monitors scientists conducting research to ensure the high ethical standard. So simply we can ask, so why I have to follow the ethics? Okay, if I don't follow, what will happen? Okay, these are all the questions will come to the mind of all the people, right? So see, this research ethics, see, this is the research ethics guidelines are given by some kind of a committee. We have the world renowned committees are there, so they'll be formulating the guideline, and they'll be instructing all the researchers to follow these kind of guidelines. If you follow the guidelines, you can avoid the troubles in the later stage. Okay, so this research ethics, what are the things to be you have to take care? Okay, all those things I have mentioned. So first of all, what I'm trying to tell you is try to avoid using Control C, Control V. That is, to avoid the plagiarism. So the plagiarism is one of the high ethical problem. Okay, so you should not do any kind of plagiarism. Okay, so and the confidentiality. Okay, you should maintain the confidentiality. Okay, and also you should not disclose someone's confidential matters. Okay, when you do any kind of a research, and whatever you do or whatever you publish, you're the sole responsible. Okay, you take that complete responsibility. And also the data management, okay, the code management, okay, whatever the things are there. Okay, if something is can be accessible by someone, or something to be kept as open source, that also you can do it. So you have to manage the data and the codes properly. And also the protection of human subjects. This is especially for the people who are doing the research on the medical side. Okay, and the care of lab animals, whatever is there. Okay, these are all mostly when you do some kind of a medical based research. And the honesty and integrity you have to maintain, and you have to respect someone's IPR. And also, you should sometimes you should be, you have to be openness, so that you can attract many researchers, or you can attract many readers. And also avoid scientific misconduct. Okay, what is that misconduct? Okay, so that we will discuss in the later slides. Okay, I told you, right? So that research ethics, that's all maintained, or that's all the guidelines are created by some policymakers. Okay, these are all the policymakers for the different disciplines. Okay, the FDA, EU, ICMGA, NIH. Okay, the WHO, National Science Foundation, and COPE. Okay, since I'm from the the engineering background, for us mostly for For us, the policymakers are COPE, that is the Committee on Publication Ethics. And suppose if we do something on the food and drugs, so FDA will be the responsible, the policymaker to create or to write the codes and the research ethics metrics. And suppose if something is on the medical side, NIH, ICM, JE, WHO, all these people are there. So there are different policymakers. They have certain some the policies to be maintained. So that policy you have to follow. Okay. The first thing, authorship. So this most of the contents I have taken from the the elsewhere publisher. Okay, or most of these contents I have taken from the elsewhere the presentations. Okay, so here you can see that authorship related, what are the ethical things to be followed. Okay, the one is misrepresenting a scientist relationship to their work. Okay, so that is a list the names of people who took title or no part in the research, omitting names of the people who did the part, who did take part, or the ordering of a byline that indicates a greater level of participation in the research than it's warranted. Okay, so it means, what is the meaning of this is, you should not include the people who have not done any work, and also you should not exclude any person, those who have contributed to your work. And also, without knowing the people, you should not add someone's name in the paper. Okay, all these things are considered as unethical thing. You should not do it. Okay, if you want to include anyone's name in the paper, that XYZ fellow has to contribute. If they have contributed 100%, you have to include their name. Okay, and whatever the names you included, that should be accepted by all the people. Okay, if someone is saying if someone is giving objection, you should not include their name in the paper. Okay, and the next is a ghost authorship. Okay, what is this ghost authorship is? This is usually refers to the professional writers whose role is not acknowledged, and unattributed contributions to data analysis may also constitute ghost authorship. Okay, so the meaning is, see, mostly the people, the non-English speaking country people, when they write any kind of a scientific or the technical papers, they'll give to some kind of a professional writers to draft their papers. Okay, if their role is not acknowledged properly. Okay, so that we consider as the ghost authorship, that we consider as the ethical problem. Okay, and the next one is a gift and guest authorship. Okay, so this is nothing but I'll include your name, you include my name. Okay, that is called the gift authorship. And sometimes what we feel is, so if suppose if I include that expose a name, mostly my paper will get acceptance. So like that, you will include someone's name in the paper. Okay, so unless they contribute, you should not include their names on the paper. So those things we call it as the gift and guest authorship. Okay, all these things are unethical activity with related to authorship. The next one is competing interest. The competing interest is based on, like, suppose if you have any kind of relationship with the person or the organization, okay, that should be disclosed when you submit any papers to the journal or the conferences. Suppose if you are not disclosing your relationship, then obviously that will be considered as the unethical activity. Okay, and if you're not disclosing your funding sources, okay, assume that for one of your work you got funds, okay, to implement that project. Okay, and through the project you have generated some data and you have generated some kind of empirical evidences. When you communicate as a publication, you should disclose the funding sources. If you don't do it, that will be considered as the unethical activity. And the next one is the plagiarism. So mostly everyone knows the word plagiarism, but in this plagiarism also many types are there. All those types are considered as the unethical activity. One is literal copying. This everyone knows, just copy pasting of complete work of someone's and publishing as a paper. That is called a literal copying. The next one is a substantial copying. Okay, so what they do now, so the part of the paper, some maybe the important contents of the paper, they will copy and paste it in their research papers. So that we call it as the substantial copying. Okay, and the next one is the paraphrasing. The paraphrasing is nothing but, reproducing someone else's ideas while not copying a word for a word, without permission, without getting permission and acknowledgement of the original source. So when you take someone's idea, okay, when you are rephrasing it or paraphrasing it, okay, that should be properly acknowledged. That original source, whatever the original source is there, that should be properly acknowledged, and also we should get permission from them. Okay, without permission, if we reproduce someone else's idea, and that is also called unethical activity. Okay, and also the text recycling. The text recycling is, you write one paper, just simply rearranging this text and simply rearranging the paragraphs. You'll be publishing some other paper, you'll be resubmitting to someone, some other publishers. Okay, so now what happens now, one content, two publications, so that we call it as a text recycling. Okay, that we should not do it. That is also we call it as the plagiarism, and that is also we call it as the unethical activity. Okay, and the simultaneous submission, so that is also we should not do. When you submit any papers to one journal, you have to wait for the decision. Once the paper is getting accepted or rejected based on the decision, you can go for the next one. Okay, avoid submitting papers simultaneous to multiple journal, and two duplicate publications. Okay, or suppose whatever, you're submitting on paper, and you're submitting the same paper to the some other journal. Okay, assume that one journal one is accepted and journal two is also accepted. Now what happens, the one paper is published in two journals, so that we call it as a duplicate publication. So that also we should not do it. Okay, and duplication by paraphrasing or text recycling, that's what I told. I published a paper, I just do the text recycling once again, I will publish the same paper as the second paper. That is also called unethical activity. And translation of a paper published in another language. So some of these Russian journals, Portugal journals, Chinese journals, they'll write the papers in their native language. Okay, what the people will do, you take the paper, they will translate the paper, and they will publish it as a new paper in English. Okay, so that is called translation of a paper published in another language. That is again considered as the unethical activity. We should not do that. Okay, and the next one is the research fraud. So that is nothing but manipulating the data or manipulating the data images. These two are considered as the research fraud. So we should not do that. You should not do any kind of a data manipulation, whether it is intentional modifying or simply omitting some data, or simply changing some data. That is all considered as the manipulating data, and that we consider as the research fraud. And also manipulating the data images. Okay, so whatever the images you have, that they will manipulate, and they will show that yes, my paper, my idea has given a good results, like that they will manipulate it. Okay, that also we consider as the unethical activity. And the salami slicing is again one of the big thing. Like, what they do is they write on paper. Okay, maybe when they discuss with their friends, what they say, the friend suggested, hey, instead of writing one paper, you just cut the paper and just publish it as a two papers. Right, so or you cut the paper and publish it as a 3-4 papers. So that we call it as the salami slicing, breaking up or segmenting data from a single study and creating different manuscripts for the publication. This is called a salami slicing. So we should not do the salami slicing also. This is also considered as the research fraud, or the unethical activity. Okay, so 5 reasons to publish ethically. One is it ensures the scientific progress. That's good. Okay, obviously, yes, we are going in the right path. And the next one is it protects life and planet. As I told you, the papers are referred by the policy makers. And the policy makers refer your paper if you give any kind of wrong information, okay, or untrusted information. So then obviously based on that untrusted information, they will make the policy and they will do the policy. No, then when the people follows that policy, then obviously it may harm the life. Okay, so that's what it protects the life and planet when you do the ethical research, and it promotes ethical behavior, Okay, so doing right things set an example and reinforces our responsibility to our peers and society at large. Obviously, no, it promotes your ethical behavior, and it's good for your reputation. So when you are ethical, then obviously you'll be getting a good reputation in the research community. And finally, there is no other way. Okay, you have to do the research ethically. Okay, there is no other way to go. Okay, so these are the 5 reasons why we have to publish ethically. Okay, so as of now, we have discussed the research awareness and also the research metrics. The next is research guidelines. Okay, so choosing a journal. Okay, so maybe based on the suggestions I have given earlier, you have written a paper. Okay, now you want to publish the paper. So where to submit? Okay, which journal to submit? Okay, this is again the big question comes. Right. So when this question comes, then what we do is we'll just always check with our friends where I can submit this paper. Like that, they will discuss with the friends. Right. So now I'll be telling you some kind of a guidelines where you can submit the papers. Okay. How you can select the papers. Okay. So when you write the paper, first when you select the journal, just check whether the journal scope is matching your scope. Okay, and also you check whether that journal is read by who are the the readers of the journal. Okay, so that we have to check. So it means the what are the target audience of that particular journal. This is the first thing you have to do. And the next thing is how prestigious is the journal in your field. Okay, so whether it is having a good research metric, okay, whether it is having the proper editorial system, whether it is having a proper, the submission system. Okay, whether the journal, if I publish, whether it will give the high impact for my publication. All those things you have to check it. How prestigious is the journal in your field? The next one is how long does it take to publish? So the time duration. Okay, so whether they'll publish a paper in 2 months, 1 month, or for 6 months, or 1 year, or 2 years. Okay, you have to check the duration, how long they will take for publishing the paper. That is, here the timeline is different timelines are there. One is first submission to the first decision, that is called desk rejection or desk decision. Then once it is done, for peer reviewing, what will be the duration? Once the paper is accepted, how long they will take the paper to publish on online. Okay, so these are the things you have to check when you select any journals. Okay, then how much does it cost? Is there any open access fee is there, or is there any pay charges are there? Okay, is there any submission charges are there? All those charges are whether it is affordable or not. Okay, all these things we have to check when you select any kind of a journals. Okay, I'll tell you some kind of guidelines where to check and all. Okay, before that, after following this, you have to check this indexing databases also before selecting the journal. And as you all know, there are three different the impact indexing databases available. It's known to all. One is the Web of Science. It's managed by the Clarivate Analytics. Okay, and then we have different quartiles like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And under Web of Science we have SCA index, there is a Science Citation Index expanded, Social Science Citation Index, and Emerging Sources Citation Index, and also Conference Proceeding Citation Index. These are all the different the levels of Web of Science journals. The top level is SCI. In that SCI also will be having the different quarters like Q1 to Q4, and that Q1 SCI means it will be a top level. Okay, so these are all the Web of Science indexing databases. The next is the Scopus database. So the Scopus will index all the scientific, technical, medical disciplines, and it is managed by Elsevier and Elsevier. And here also we have a different quarters Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and this quartile and the SA quartiles are different. So with the SA quartiles are always on the top. Then after that, the Elsevier quartiles comes. Then apart from this well-known indexing databases, one more well-known indexing database is the Google Scholar. This Google Scholar will index all the journals, books, conference papers, thesis, dissertation, preprints, abstracts, technical reports, other scholarly literature, including court opinions, patents, so many things. Okay, it covers. Okay, but if you see the Scopus, it covers only scientific, technical, and medical disciplines. And Web of Science also considers the same, but There again, the kind of the constraints are very, very different in Web of Science. So when you want to publish any papers based on these indexing databases also, you can select. Okay. So if you want to publish very high quality papers, so you try to focus on Q1 SCA indexed journals, and then suppose otherwise Q1 SSCA indexed journals. Okay. These two are the top most journals. Okay. Then suppose if you want to start, you can start with Q4 Scopus, then slowly move on to Q1 Scopus, and also you can move on to the SCA starting from Q4 to Q1. Okay, so these are all the things to be for checked before checking the journal or before submitting the paper to any journal. Okay, apart from this non-indexing databases, we have so many other indexing databases like Basco, Medline, DYE, JEI Compendex, PubMed, Aldrich Web. So these are all the different other indexing databases. Okay, but mostly the preference will be given to the Web of Science, Scopus, and Google Scholar. And now in India, the people also talking about the UGC CAR journal. So that UGC CAR journals, whatever is listed in the UGC site, that also we can take it. Okay, and the perils of predatory journals and publishers. When something goes properly, and there'll be always the negative portion of it, right? So that's where the predatory journal comes. The predatory journals, what they do, no, they will open the fake website. Okay, and also they'll send some kind of fake emails or spam emails to you. Okay, they will ask you to submit a paper, and they'll ask you to publish the paper within 1 day by paying some huge amount of money. Okay, once the pay money is done, once the publication, and it will not be visible to anyone, will not be indexed by any of the indexing databases, and the paper will be wasted, money waste, paper waste, your time waste, everything will be wasted. Okay, so before submitting to the journal, you just check whether that is a predatory journal or not. If it is not predatory, you submit your papers there. Okay, once it is done, then obviously you cannot come out. Okay, your money is gone and your paper also gone. So these are the few repositories to check your predatory journals. Okay, at the Bell's list of predatory open access publishers. And also what I'm trying to tell you, you try to focus on the high qualified publishers like IEEE, Springer, Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Wiley. Okay, these kind of the well reputed publishers, if you select, you can avoid all these predatory channels. Okay, when you focus on other the local publishers, there may be a chance of trapped into the predatory channels as well. Okay, so do a thorough research before you do submitting the paper. Once you submit the paper, that's it, everything gone. Okay, you have to be very careful when you submit any papers. Okay, and these are the things I have told you already. And submitting your manuscript, so what are the things to be uploaded? Okay, so all these things I mentioned already, and I told you, right, so you should not do the simultaneous submission. So don't do any multiple submissions to any journals. Okay, so that will be considered as unethical activity. And some some journals are having some kind of decoded numbers. So with that decoded numbers, they can easily track if you do any kind of multiple submissions. Okay, so just be careful. Submit the paper, wait for the decision. If the decision is positive, is fine. If it is decision is negative, you check other journal and upload your paper in the other journal. Okay. And the plagiarism, so what I'm telling you, the once a paper is written, you try to check the plagiarism of your paper or similarity of your paper through any professional the plagiarism tool. Okay, so here I listed two professional plagiarism tool. One is Authenticate and Turnitin, and both are the commercial tools. Okay, you have to pay some money, or if your university is having access to these plagiarism tools, you can use these tools. Okay, and also you can access, in the Turnitin, they have given access for the AI detection also. The Turnitin will give what is the AI score of your paper, because nowadays the journals are checking the similarity as well as the AI score. Even if your AI score is more than 20 percentage, assume your similarity is only 10 percentage, but your AI score is more than 20 percentage, your paper will be rejected. Okay, so it means the AI score should be less than 20 percentage. Then obviously you need to have the very low plagiarism percentage. So ideally, what I'm telling you, it should be less than 20 percentage. Less than 20 percentage is the safest level. Mostly, the people will say 10%, 50 percentage, 15 percentage, but I don't believe, because I have Even if you write any kind of known information, that will be there in most of the papers. Those kind of thing, even the small matters or the common information also will show as a plagiarism. So what I'm telling you, including reference, if your plagiarism is within 20 percentage, you are safe to go, or you are safe to submit to any journals. Okay, so that's not a matter. So, but it should be less than 20 percentage. And also, I'm suggesting the plagiarism, sorry, the AI score also should be less than 20 percentage. But what I'm telling you, try to check the plagiarism only through the plagiarism tools. Okay, so as I told, two repeated plagiarism tools are authenticated and Turnitin, then it's up to you which one to use. If you use any online plagiarism tools, some free plagiarism tools, so there is a possibility of stealing your idea. Okay, and it will not give the proper plagiarism percentage also. Okay, so try to use the professional tools. And final check, okay, whether you have done everything, paper written, cover letter is there, and other information was checked. Okay, once everything is done, okay, then you can go for the paper submission. Okay, so this is what the paper submission. Yeah, so now I want to submit, where to submit. Okay, I told you some guidelines to select the journals. Okay, but to check if all the journals with respect to all those parameters, if you check, no, you have to spend a lot of time to select one journal. So for that purpose, what the journals or the publishers have done is they have introduced some kind of the journal finders. IEEE publication recommender, Elsevier journal finder, Springer journal suggester, Taylor and Francis, and Wiley journal finder. Okay, so first five are the the publisher specific recommendation system. The last two is the common recommendation system. Okay, you can use anything. Suppose if we are strict to go with either the Elsevier or Springer, you can select any one the journal recommendation system, and you can go and find your respective journals. Okay, so here I just want to give one simple demo on how to select any Springer or any journal. So I'll just give some kind of the demo to select the this one. What is that Springer journal? Okay, so this is what I selected. Okay, so once I just typed to Google, like Springer's journal suggester, I just typed it, and here you can see that sorry, the first one, find the right journals for you. Okay, so once you go inside, it will show you, will ask you to enter the manuscript title or the abstract of the paper. Okay, and also the keywords. Okay, just for the example, what I'm telling you is I'll just take one paper, already published papers. Okay, I'll just take one published paper already. Okay, this is the paper already published. Okay, I'll just simply copy paste the abstract of the paper. It's already published in Springer only. Okay, I just open it and I'll put the abstract. Suppose if you have written abstract for your paper, so that you copy and paste it here. That's it. Okay, or if you have title also, you can put it, no problem. And if you have the keywords also you can enter. Okay, once if it is done, you can click find journals. Okay, you can click find journals, and here at the bottom you can see that. Okay, you can see the list of journals matching your abstract. Okay, and also you can see the journal impact factors are listed. Okay, and you can see the timeline for the paper, the first submission to first decision, and also relevance of your paper to the journal. That also you can see here. This is 5-star, and some journals will show the 4-star, 3-star, like that. You can see that. Okay, so here you can simply see this paper, whatever the paper I copied, you see that it is published in Journal of Electrical and Engineering and Technology, and you see that my recommendation system also recommending what the same journal. Okay, so it means that based on the keywords in the abstract, okay, this journal recommendation system will recommend the proper journal for you. Okay, so this is what this is what the Springer journal selection. Okay, now the same thing what I do is elsewhere I'll just go. Okay, elsewhere. Okay, elsewhere journal finder. Okay, I'll just go inside. Okay, and this is like again, once again I have to paste the abstract. I'll just paste the abstract, and I'll click the find journals. And this is also will be listing all the journals relevant to my abstract. Okay, but elsewhere is giving some more details than the Springer. Okay, here you can see they have given impact factor, site score of the paper. Okay, and the time to first decision is given, and time to acceptance is also given. But in the Springer, they have given only time to first decision, but here they have given time to acceptance. In Springer, they have given only impact factor, and they have given another research metric called site score, that is about 11.2. It is very good journal. Okay, and also they have given the acceptance rate of that particular journal. If acceptance rate is more, then that journal is accepting more number of papers. If the acceptance rate is less, it means that they are selecting very, very few papers out of all submitted papers. Okay, and also here you can see the open access. This journal is completely open access journal. Okay, and you have to pay $1,600 once your paper is accepted. Okay, similarly you can see the next paper also. Okay, Sam's engineering journal, and this is also given impact factor, site score, and time to acceptance rate is given, and they have given the open access fee also. Okay, and coming to the next one, you can see here journal name is there, all other metrics are there, but here you can see that there are two options. One is open access and the other one is subscription. Okay, so it means that this journal is a subscription based journal. So suppose when you submit a paper, when you opt, I want to publish my paper in the subscription mode, you don't need to pay any money. With zero per money, you can publish a paper in this respective journal. Suppose if you want to publish a paper only in the open access, so you have to select the open access option, and where you have to pay $3,280. If this amount is affordable by you, you can select this journal. Okay, you can go to the journal web page just by clicking the visit journal page. Okay, or if you are ready to work, submit a paper, directly you can click the submit paper. It will take you to the submission page. So here you have to create, you have to register, you have to create the login credentials. Once the login credential is done, then you can go and submit your papers. Okay, so and suppose if you want to do some more research on that respective journal, just go inside, you can check whatever the recent papers are there. Okay, everything you can check. Once you're satisfied, you can directly go and submit the papers. Okay, so this is how you have to select journals. Okay, so I have given the guideline. Based on the guideline, you can select the papers like this, and you can select the journals like this, and you can submit your papers to the respective journals. So, okay, this is what the journal recommendation system already available. Okay, it's a peer review process. The peer review process, once the paper is submitted, the paper will be assessed by the editor-in-chief. Once the editor-in-chief finds the paper is within the scope of the journal, that the editor-in-chief will assign the subject editor, and the subject editor will try to find the relevant reviewers for your paper. And once the reviewers are identified, and it will be sent to the reviewers, or if you're the subject editor or the editor-in-chief feels that the paper is not up to the level, okay, or it's not having the standards, okay, then obviously they will reject the paper directly. If the paper is good to go, they will send to the reviewers, and the reviewers will be assessing your paper, and they'll be giving the review comments, and the review comments will be assessed by the editor. Based on the assessment, the authors are provided with the revision option or the rejection option. Okay, if they're given the revision option, okay, what they do is they will give the revision, and once again we'll go to the author will be revising the paper, and revised version will be submitted once again, and will be sent to the same reviewer or the different reviewers. Then again, once again, will come to the assessment for the to the editor, and once the editor feels the paper is yes satisfies all the standards and also addressed all the reviewer comments, means they will give the acceptance. If some one of the points are not met, the editors will reject the paper. Once the paper is accepted, it will go for the protection, and finally the paper will be published. Okay, so this is what the peer review process, what's happening in the journals, in the reputed journals. Okay, so this I have taken from some other source. Okay, that's why I have cited. And whether your paper is accepted or rejected, you accept it. Okay, if it is accepted, you be happy. If it is rejected, just go on, submit the paper to some other journal. Okay, and you can publish the papers. Okay, so the research metrics are there, but if I take the research metric, it will take more time. Okay, so now almost a 340 time is now. So I just move on to the next thing because it takes more time to discuss the research metrics. Okay, so I'll just move on to the next topic. citations. Yeah. So once again, I just want to tell you one point here is author profiles. Okay, this I just want to tell to all the authors or to all the researchers. So always you try to have the ORCID ID. It's a unique ID, and most of the journals this is a mandatory thing. You have when you submit a paper, you have to provide the ORCID ID also. And next is you need to have a profile in the Web of Science. Okay, suppose just go to the Clarivate site, and initially it was maintained as a Bubloon, but now it's again maintained only by the Clarivate Analytics. In the Clarivate Analytics also you can open the Web of Science profile, and once you publish one paper in the Scopus profile will be automatically created. And once it is created, it is your duty or your responsibility to maintain the same profile for your all your Scopus publications, so that all the papers will be indexed in only one profile, or else it will be indexed in multiple profiles. For one name, multiple profiles will be there. Okay, you need to have a unique Scopus ID so that you can track all your published Scopus indexed papers. And once Scopus profiles are there, you need to have the Google Scholar profile also. The Google Scholar profile you can open with your institution domain ID. So if your institution is given the domain ID, you can create the Google Scholar profile, and you can also maintain all your publications here. And apart from that, we have the ResearchGate, Academia. I think in Microsoft Academic is closed now. So ResearchGate and Academia is still active now. So you can use these social medias to create your own profile, and also you can interact with the researchers around the world. And also it's better to have one personal website so that you can advertise yourself. Okay, what kind of research you do and what is the impact of your research, all those things you can mention in the website. And when you share your website details to some of your friends, then obviously there is a way of increasing your citations also, your reputation also. Okay, so this is what I'm suggesting all the researchers to have some kind of a research profile for you, so that you can create some impact on the research throughout the world. Okay, and the research tools. Okay, so I'll just go through some common research tools. Okay, so mostly the chat GPT nowadays the people are using for many of the paper writing. Okay, so but what I'm telling you is you just try to check the facts generated by the chat GPT when you write any papers. Okay, usually you can use the chat GPT as a tool. Okay, just as a supporting tool, but you should not use the chat GPT as a main writing tool to write your complete paper. Okay, so because most of the time the informations are generated by information generated by ChatGPT that may not be correct. Okay, always you have to do the fact check before include the contents generated by the ChatGPT. Okay, and the critical thinking, as of now the ChatGPT can generate text, but suppose if we have the premium membership, okay, you can also include some kind of add-ons. Okay, even now you can connect a DALI also, so that you can generate the images. But when you go with the free login with ChatGPT, it can generate only text. Okay, and these texts are generated based on the past information or information gathered by the ChatGPT during the training and testing process. Okay, most of the time you people have to do the own analysis and interpretation. You should not rely on the ChatGPT, and you cannot ask ChatGPT to think critically. Okay, and the structure and organization, it will generate some text based on some patterns and examples that is received during the training. Okay, so most of the time you people have to properly organize your statements and the information generated by the chat GPT. And the citations and referencing, as I told you already, in the free version this referencing cannot be done, but in the new version, or if you have premium membership, then obviously the citation referencing also you can do it. But even if it accepts, because see most of the time the references generated by ChatGPT, it is nowhere available in online. So that kind of things, fact checks we have done, okay, for many of the papers, just to have some kind of a case study. Okay, we have generated some kind of references through ChatGPT, but that's nowhere available in online as well as in any of the publishers. So you have to be very careful when you use the any AI tools, not only ChatGPT. If you use any AI tools, you have to be very careful. But most of the people are using ChatGPT. That's the reason I have taken the ChatGPT. Okay, so these are the other tools they use it for the writing the papers, the writing. They'll use the Notion AI, Monica, essay surveys, my essay writer. Open AI, ChatGPT, what we use, and the paper mill. So many things are there, and SEO tools, coding tools. Coding tools you can use, not a problem. So coding tools you can use it and you can practice on yourself. Okay, so that whether you could able to solve the problem or not. Okay, and the logo generators, some image generators. Okay, as I told you, the DALI is already connected with ChatGPT, so you can generate the image through the ChatGPT also, and also some art tools, productivity tools. The video generator tools. So many tools, AI tools. So whatever I listed is very few. Okay, apart from that, so many thousands and thousands of AI tools are available nowadays to do to support your research works. Okay, and these are the some of other things, other stuffs available online. Okay, this also can use it. Okay, and the writing tools, as you know, mostly we use Microsoft Office, LaTeX, Open Office, LibreOffice. Okay, so as you all know, Microsoft Office is the commercial version. Okay, but that is mostly accepted the tool throughout the world for writing. And also the LaTeX is there. Suppose if your paper is having more number of mathematical expressions, it's good to go with the LaTeX. Okay, and Open Office and LibreOffice are open source tools. You can use it. It's similar to the Microsoft Office. Okay, but it's open source tools. You can use those tools also. And the drawing tools. So these are all the different drawing tools available. Apart from this, as I told you, a lot of AI tools are there, but these are all the professional tools available to draw any kind of a drawing. Okay, mostly I'll prefer to go with Microsoft Visio or the Draw.io. So these two, Microsoft Visio is the commercial version, but Draw.io is the free version online, and also the desktop software also available. You can use and you can check it. If it is up for you, you can use that those tools for drawing any kind of the block diagrams, flow charts, or any flow graphs. Okay, anything you can draw with these kind of tools. Okay, and for the referencing, okay, so we have a Zotero, Mendeley, EndNote, Refox, Itervi, Pepperpile, okay, Dozier. So many reference management tools are there, but here I suggest to go with Mendeley because it's a free and it is maintained by the elsewhere. It has a lot of plugins, add-ons. Okay, you can directly connect with your Google Chrome and also your Microsoft Office. You can cite your papers on the go. Similarly, EndNote also there. We can use the EndNote also, but the EndNote is the commercial version maintained by the Clarivate, but Mendeley is the free version maintained by the elsewhere. But there is the constraints, the capacity constraints are there with Mendeley, but that is sufficient for all the researchers. So for our research, the Mendeley is the right tool. So I personally recommend Mendeley for reference management. Okay, so I just given some kind of cost analysis also. So this Mendeley also I can tell you how to use it, but because of lack of time, I just move on to the other thing. So for the important other tools, or ref and write is also there. You can use it, and for the language editing, you can use the Grammarly. Okay, mostly, and for paraphrasing, the people use the Quillbot. Okay, and the Microsoft Excel is a very one of the powerful tool to do great research. Okay, and also use the Google Scholar, ResearchGate, Publoon, Scopus to find your papers for the literature study. And the plagiarism, as I told you, Authenticate, Turnitin are the good one. And the Workfront is also fine, but Whiteboard, Plagiarism Checker, Plagiarism Director, all these are the open source tools available online, but those tools are not reliable. But I prefer to go with Authenticate or the Turnitin. Okay, so with this, I'll just try to acknowledge the contents of other peers whose contents are being used to comprehend the subject better, and I do so solely for the academic purposes. I do not claim any ownership of any of the contents of other peers. With this acknowledgement, I would like to thank you all for patient listening of my lecture. Okay, I just gave a very few guidelines. Okay, suppose if you want to know many things about that, okay, if you want to have any kind of collaboration. So you can always contact me in these contact numbers, and also the mail ID also I have given. And also I have given my personal website. Maybe you can take this website as a reference. Even you can create your own website from yours, because it's all created by the website. It's a free website domain, so I have created my own website. So you can refer to my research works, whatever I have done. So with this note, I would like to thank the IoT Academy once again for giving this opportunity. So thank you all. I'm just over to you, Matt. So if you have any doubts, I can clarify the doubts if you have.